Hey everybody, how's it going? Popping in a little bit early. Got some stuff going on, and I just wanted to prep you for what you're going to see. We got the guys Zach and Ben from Tail Heavy Productions on. I'm going to play one of their videos. I think I've got it figured out, and we're going to let some more people fill in. It's not quite 9, so we're going to watch their release from today and go watch that again later. It's fun, and check out their channel. We're going to talk a lot about a lot of things, and I'm very much looking forward to it. So I'm going to play. Let me see how this works for me.
The Yak-130 is an advanced pilot training aircraft able to replicate characteristics of Russian 4th and 5th generation fighters. Unfortunately for us, ours is just an RC plane.
So enjoy a couple of these and hit them up.
We found that personal preferences can make all the difference when trying to get the most out of this plane. To start, we modified the control surfaces to the furthest out holes on the servos and the closest in on the control surfaces for max travel mechanically. We also removed the FMS reflex gyro system and installed a standard Spectrum AR620 receiver in its place. In an attempt to please Greta Thunberg, we opted not to use the optional fuel tanks, which, as a byproduct, also kept the wings clean. What we like about the Yak-130 is that it's very straightforward. It's not a jet meant to do crazy outside-the-box maneuvers like an F-22, but it excels at the basics. Clean, good-sounding, fast passes. Straightforward takeoffs and landings. Precision acro. However, as with any delta wing, it can bite once you get into the slower speed regime, especially with the Yak's plain flaps at the landing setting, so be sure to respect it and keep those turns coordinated, especially when slow. Overall, though, it's super forgiving. We tested stalls dirty, clean, and even kept the stick held back to try some falling leaf stalls. We also tried accelerated stalls, which were also forgiving with this bird. So long as you keep it coordinated and respect its boundaries, it won't fall out of the sky on you. If it does, just unload the wing, level the wings, and gently pull out. Speaking of respecting boundaries, we were surprised at all the abuse this bird could take. We did everything from running it into a shed
oh boy
to firm landings that made me question if I should keep my day job as a full-scale pilot. Rather than have to answer why the nose is crumpled like newspaper from running our plane into the shed, the magnetic nose cone acted as an ego relief tool and popped off upon impact. This is a nice touch for the many fragile egos we have in this hobby. As with those fragile egos, this plane does have limitations to the abuse it's willing to take, though. If you regularly fly in cold weather, we're talking about below 20 degrees Fahrenheit or so, you might have some problems with the retracts. Ours wouldn't function at all in those temperatures. However, once we got home and the plane warmed up a little, the gear went back to working as if nothing had happened. We were impressed with the quality of the gear overall, though, as it's nice to see a legit trailing link gear that functions well on an RC jet. While we're on the ground, let's look at how the assembly process went. The no glue required assembly took me about an hour to complete. It was a straightforward process. However, it came with a few hitches worth noting. The plethora of excess cable length for the servo leads from the wing led to difficulty getting it all to fit into the fuselage, even with trying to pull the front of the leads in the receiver area. Additionally, one of our wing joiners wasn't lined up properly, and we had to gouge out the plastic with an X-Acto knife to get the tube to fit and line up. As far as things we liked, peel and stick tape was used for securing the vertical stab, which was a nice touch. I mean, who doesn't like avoiding having to wait 30 minutes for glue to dry, especially in our instant gratification era? Back in the air, well, almost. Takeoffs are a breeze and uneventful, so long as you don't yank it into the air, as with any aircraft with a higher wing loading than a Fun Cub. We messed with different techniques regarding which flap settings to use to take off with in different scenarios. For example, if you want to ensure success on grass takeoffs, the technique we used the most was to keep the flaps up until you've gained a good amount of airspeed and then drop them down to get the plane to become airborne. Once the plane is in ground effect, suck the flaps up and slowly climb out. You can also optionally take off with landing flaps to reduce ground roll on pavement or short grass. We use this technique in full-scale jets as well. Or you can use the standard mid-flap or no flaps even if desired. There's lots of ways to skin the cat on this one. When it comes to the surface types this jet could operate from, we were very impressed. Fluffy light snow-topped runways, a grassy field, a parking lot filled with snow mines, you name it. The Yak was able to do it. The only surface we weren't able to get wheels up with was thick, tall grass on a football field. Let's look at what this bird can do and can't do once in the air. Precision maneuvers were my favorite and a breeze with this bird. Jamming the sticks in any direction on the top of an upline will turn heads at your field. Additionally, whoosh passes are one of our favorite things to do with any EDF. And this one didn't disappoint there. Knife edges were possible, although they required a high airspeed to hold the beta and knife edge without losing altitude, partially due to the size of the rudder. They didn't have a lot of coupling to note either. Flat spins inverted and right side up were possible as well, but the potential combo of skill issues compared with tiny control surfaces, that is, in comparison to full flying stabs on other RC EDFs, limited the flatness that we could get out of these spins. It should be noted that these were done with an excessively aft CG as well. If you choose to do an inverted pushover, as we jokingly call it, they're definitely fun with this plane. Just be sure to carry enough energy at the top and a bit of right rudder through the upline to keep her straight. For the 3D fanboys, high alpha with this plane is a bit of a challenge. It might have been a bit more stable with a gyro, but the wing rock kept us from experimenting too much with this aspect to avoid ending up with a scrap pile on the runway. Inverted high alpha was better than right side up, but we still noticed some weird tendencies with it. Our favorite maneuver was this unnamed weird whack backflip thingy. Okay, well, in reality, it's called a Colbit when done properly, but moving on. By now, your timer should be going off, so it's time to start thinking about landing. But before we do, we flew ours on a 6S 3300 mAh pack with our flight timer set to 3 minutes. The Yak is a straightforward jet to land, but as with any jet, make sure you commit to a stable approach and carry your airspeed into the round out and start of your flare. Ease the power out and then settle her on in. For the more adventurous folks, landing without flaps, as expected, leads to a very fast approach speed. On the flip side, when you do approach with flaps down at the landing setting, don't get caught too slow in the backside of the power curve, or you'll lose the ability to round out and flare quickly due to the excess drag that the plane flaps cause. If you're going to wrestle a crosswind, we suggest using a decrab technique as you flare to avoid side loads on the gear. Much like flying in North Dakota, RIP UND, flying in the wind sometimes is unavoidable. As with any swept wing, it gets bounced around, especially about the yaw axis. A gyro would help reduce this issue, however, we opted not to use one to protect our masculinity. Yak can also be a term used to describe someone throwing up, which is opposite of how we feel about this bird. If you're searching for a scale-esque bird that is a joy to fly in the air, go check it out on FMS's website using our affiliate link below. Or use our code at checkout for $15 off your order. Worst case, just give this video a like if you're too broke to buy another plane, and maybe hit subscribe if you'd like to see more videos of us flying planes into inanimate objects. Quick announcement for everyone. The second month into our first annual monthly RC photo contest on our Discord server wrapped up last week. Congratulations to Penguin Power 65 for winning February with this great shot of a couple RC warbirds in flight. For more info and if you want to participate in the photo contest, be sure to join our Discord. As every YouTuber says, the link is in the description below. Happy landings and bounce one on for us. We'll catch you next week with a new upload.
Yeah.
Nice. Okay.
Oh boy.
Hi. I have no idea.
Did you have an elevator?
I don't know what happened.
I was like, okay, and then shit.
Oh, dude. What the hell?
Really?
The only source.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back. RC Pilots Lounge. Here we go. 9 on the dot. We're going to dial in another video probably, let you guys fill in a little bit. But you guys that were here early got to see that FMS Yak. I love their delivery. Super fun. Let's see what you guys think right here in the chat. Who's already following these cats? Let me know. And when we bring them on, we'll have a nice welcome for them too. Kill us with emojis. Might as well do a little bit of roll call while we're at it. How's everybody doing? We got snow, but I've been able to fly lately, which has been fantastic. couple flights with Big Yellow, and then the new stick thing. Super fun. So yeah, let me get a drink here for this roll call. We have 55 in here right now. Nice. Boss 223, Jeff in Lower Alabama, Hunter Yoakum, Francis Connie, Eddie K's, RC, Jeff in Lower Alabama, Snow River, Nate, Mike SSI, P51D fan. Yes, I agree. It's refreshing, you know. It's really fun. Jerry watches all their videos. Very good. Lawn Dart RC. It's because of you guys I really found out about them. I've said it before. I was following them on Instagram, and I didn't even know until you guys were talking about it, and I've been on it ever since. I was binging it today. There's a bunch of fun ones out there. Videos from these guys. What's up, Scott Settle? All right. Eddie K, Dad in the house. Dadu 64. Victor RC Jets. Olson Aviation Crew Chief. Airhammer. Kelly Klein in the house. Learning to Fly RC. Hello. Eric Tennant. Yeah, a lot of you guys are familiar with them. That's cool. Scott Settle. Paul Hatcher. Augured in. BK Style. We won't have any trouble as long as we keep you out. Slow Flyer 85. Thanks, man. Lionel Randall, Boss 223. Been watching them as well. Rowan, good to see you, kid. Nice. Bobby K in the house. This is cool. This is cool. So I'm going to just play a little bit of this next one, and I'll hop back in. And we'll get them in pretty soon. I just got here. What's up? Good to see you. Bobby says he's coming in whether I like it or not. Oh no. Brian Chambers, what's happening? Craig Beaven. Nice. I'll get you in later, man, if this is still happening. I've watched a couple of my older shows because I had a whole list of questions at the beginning, and I was watching those early streams trying to get those questions, and I was like, this sucks. So I quit, and I just watched their stuff all day today when I got a chance. Strutbuster RC, what up? Axel RC. Nice. Paul McNeil. We're rolling 63. That's pretty good. Yeah, so I watched their stuff and came up with questions today. A lot of it is some of the same questions too as before. But the trick is working them in, not making it look like a list of questions, you know? Gary Henson, I think we're going to have some different faces in here tonight. I don't know if they blasted it at all, but I definitely did blast it this time. Strutbuster missed him too. Grandpa Gary in the house. That's right. I just got here. Cool. All right, so look, I'm going to play a little bit of this one. I just love the commentary. And, you know, if you take it with a grain of salt, you shouldn't ever get too offended. Some people might, but I think it's great. And I mean, honestly, if it gets people talking, I think there's something to be said for that. That's good. Tom Anderson, I have not flown nitros yet, but it's not that I don't want to. I will never say never, but I'd like to do it. I've been toying with the idea of I kind of want a big PT-19 and eventually Warbird, but I want the Warbird feel without the retract worry, and I'm impartial to PT-19s. So I think when I go wet, it's going to be something like that. first. All right, let's do this. All right, I'll be back in just a bit. Hello.
Propaganda. Today, we're going to transfer our years of experience into knowledge for you via Neuralink. By the end of this video, you'll be so proficient that you'll be able to fly RC the same way Stevie Wonder is able to read music. Bad example, moving on. Our first tip for you all is to stick to what you like. Don't enjoy 3D flying? Go to therapy so you're not so insecure about having something to prove to everyone. Don't enjoy planes arriving broken? Don't buy Hobby King. Don't enjoy crashing? Sounds like a skill issue to me. We kid. Even with the small niche that RC flying is, there's a ton of subcategories out there that we believe everyone can find passion in. Sure, get outside your comfort zone as much as you can to improve, but if you simply aren't enjoying a facet you're exploring, move on. Ben and I have personally tried nitro planes multiple times early in our time in the hobby, but we got tired of needing toilet paper to wipe our planes like we do ourselves after a fun trip to Taco Bell. On the same token though, don't be afraid to explore different areas of the hobby. Just know when to call it quits to avoid burning out. Up next, we have changing your mindset. Some people laugh when they crash, others cry. Our advice is to grow a pair or invest in Bitcoin so you can actually afford it. Jokes aside, crashing is part of the hobby, and you're just going to have a bad time if you can't find the fun in it. Bonus, learning from your mistakes really is the only way to improve as a pilot. Instead of worrying about what you cannot control, shift your energy to what you can create. It's some dumb quote we found on Google in 2 seconds. You, sir, can create some horrific moments of mass terror with that 700 milliliter gas tank. Enjoy the memories you create with your friends, or you can choose to cringe about it because all those friends are imaginary. The common denominator here is mindset. All we ask is that you see the bigger picture here. Crashing or having a bad experience all leads to experience, knowledge, and improvement.
No!
You gotta be kidding me, dude!
You missed the runway. Do it again. So that means we're not going to burn it?
For our third point, we have treating planes like they're as disposable as Flight Test has treated some of their cast. Unlike Josh Scott, foam is replaceable. If you're afraid of losing your stunning $299 swap meet special, don't buy it. Go start making some planes out of foam board you couldn't care less about. Flight Test has some awesome kits available for cheap that'll cost pennies compared to the damage your spouse causes to your car on a monthly basis. Celebrate the small moments. Yeah, it happens to all of us where we go to our logbook and realize we logged 4 landings and only 1 takeoff. But hey, guess what? At least you didn't try flying a full-scale plane legally blind.
Gotta go fast. Gotta go fast. Gotta go faster.
Or unintentionally tried killing your child because that build should have only taken you a week or 2 if Timmy would have just shut the hell up. While it can be extremely intimidating watching someone like our buddy Cody fly right before you, pro tip, he doesn't care what your skill level is. No one does. Or they shouldn't. If they do, disown them. When you arrive at the flight line, approach it with the attitude of being interested in nothing else except having fun and improving. While there may be some ballbusters at your field, we promise they really don't care about how much skill you have or don't. Instead of comparing yourself to others, compare yourself to where you were last season.
What is that all about?
We're all here for the same reason, to pretend we could fly an airliner if the pilot suddenly became incapacitated. We've seen a lot of comments about people who hoard planes but have never flown them. Do you really enjoy staring at a magazine with porn stars? Wouldn't you rather experience the real thing? Sure, the easy thing is to just stare at your model on the wall. But imagine the dopamine hit after a successful flight or a sketchy dead stick landing you nailed. And as our favorite office manager says that he said, you miss 100% of the shots you don't take. You won't know until you find out, so why not give it a shot? Worst case, you will have a really embarrassing crash and memory that friends will 100% bring up at your funeral. But really though, leaving models on the wall is like looking at women as property. They're both meant to go experience life. Definitely let them. Our best tip for those that do hoard planes is to donate them to AMA clubs with youth programs or to a kid you may know is passionate about aviation, but isn't in a position to buy a toy that costs as much as a cheap laptop. That's how I personally got into the hobby, and I'll never forget my first plane and the man who gave it to me. Pay it forward. Create good habits. The best analogy we could think of was not taking piano lessons or watching tutorials on how to play it and developing a terrible habit playing the piano that leads to carpal tunnel and the inability to ever comfortably fly a toy plane in the first place. The law of primacy is real, folks. Learn it the right way first so you don't have to unlearn bad habits and procedures. Take us, for example. We chose not to ever check if our receiver had a solid connection to our Aura when we had the opportunity 50 plus times.
That was cool. Ooh, dude.
Sure, it was 1 in 1,000 odds, but our point is, create good habits for yourself. Pre-flight your planes thoroughly before each flight, or verify when you're ready to land that there's not another plane on the runway. Try your best to not leave anything to fate whenever possible. Much like full-scale aviation, our job is to mitigate risk. Figure out how you can do so. Or, if you're like us, don't become complacent. It's easy to grow to a level of confidence where you feel the rules don't apply to you, but trust us, they always will. Our next tip is to not take the hobby so seriously. If you've been in the hobby long enough, you'll have met one of our favorite stereotypes. The guy who treats our toy airplanes like they have a nuclear bomb attached to them. Pro tip, they don't. But really though, we've met a lot of people who get frustrated in this hobby because they treat every crash like they just killed 100+ people when all they really did was kill the potential of a bird making a home on that one branch. It's okay, man. Exxon will wipe them out anyways. When emotions kick in, do your best to remind yourself that these are just toys.
Damn you, Doc. I fucking swear!
Yeah, I'm really pissed. Really pissed.
The kid who almost wiped your plane out didn't intend to, and the nitro engine that refuses to start isn't upset you cheated on your spouse. Plot twist. You are. Expecting a $500 model when you paid $40 for it. Look, this hobby will teach you one of the best lessons in life. You get what you pay for. Hobby King models often fall apart before they even arrive. Sure, you paid $40 for something that would be $100 from Horizon, but don't forget the headache you'll get when your wife complains about your $40 model turning into $120 after the parts you're forced to purchase. Quality is hard to come by in this hobby, and don't worry, this isn't about to turn into a Flex Innovations ad read about our store. You really do get what you pay for in this hobby. Sure, E-flite charges $100 a year for some new airplanes and flying sites. Totally worth it. Psych, not at all. We've seen time and time again, kids and adults alike asking for advice on a good beginner plane. We give them our advice, which is always usually an Aero Scout or Carbon Cub S2, and then they say, well, I found a $100 plane on a random Chinese website, so I'm going to try it instead. Then, a week later, when it falls apart before they even put it together, they complain about it to us after the fact. Look, our overall point is to not buy a $40 Chinese knockoff and expect it to fly the same as a properly developed $200 model. They just don't compare. Don't throw out the idea of a gyro because you heard a bad remark from a guy who barely can fly himself without one. He's just trying to sound superior or pull the back in my day like every generation does when becoming older than the up-and-coming generation. Fly with safe or an auto leveler if you want. We really don't care. This hobby is all about enjoying it, and if that's the way you enjoy it, continue doing so by all means. Sure, some people may give you crap about it, but ultimately, the only reason you're in this hobby is because of yourself. This goes back to our first point, do what you enjoy. Up next, we have recognizing that this hobby is hard, and that's also the reason it's so fun. If you want something that doesn't require skill, go buy a DJI drone. However, how often do you see someone going out all season and flying one of those? Not often. Most get purchased, flown twice, then left in a closet because that's the end of their journey. Getting an airplane in the air at all is a bigger achievement for sure. Don't be afraid of finding someone else to fly your airplanes for you. It's okay to admit that you suck and that your $499 pile of foam is best left to the expert at the field for the maiden flight. Every field has someone known for being the safest option for maiming an airplane. Let them prevent a scrap pile heartache and see if you can learn from them while you're at it. There's no shame there. Experience is a great teacher, and we admit it, Einstein was right after all. In order to get good at something, you have to start by sucking. Don't be too hard on yourself, and never forget that skill doesn't equate to fun. This hobby is whatever you make of it. Press the like button if you think that transmitter neck strap length has an inverse relationship to confidence, and go ahead and hit subscribe if you're feeling insecure about your flying, because we have some fun educational videos in the works. Happy landings, and bounce one on for us. We'll catch you all next week with a new upload.
Dude, sucking at something is the first step towards being sort of good at something.
The only source of knowledge is experience. Albert.
So fun. So fun. I think we need it. You know, it's a perfect level of snark. And I think guys who are really into this stuff completely get it. I think these guys' channel is going to grow pretty fast, as a matter of fact. Let's see. Wow, we got 100 in here, 95. Keith Christie, good to see you, Noots. We're going to bring him on very soon here. Plains Archery Table Tennis, a.k.a. Ping Pong. Brian Chambers, Bad 65, Dad. Good to see you. It's going to be a little bit harder for me to stay on the chat like I usually do. Obviously, we got live guests in the room, and so that is why. Let's get into it, guys. And you know, if you have a question, make sure I can. If you got a question for these guys, get my attention. Maybe I'll catch it. All right, you guys ready to come on? Thumbs up me. Okay. All right, we're gonna do it. Here we are. That looks crazy.
Hello.
There.
Hey.
Zach and Ben, welcome to the show. How are you?
Good. How are you?
Thanks for having us.
Really good. And just to let everybody know, like, I spoke to, so who's Zach and who's Ben?
Zach.
And I'm Ben.
That's what I thought. All right. And Zach, we spoke on the phone a couple weeks ago, but we really just only were on for less than like 2 minutes in the background of the show. So you guys were all meeting each other right now, really in front of everybody. So that's cool.
Speaking of, before we get too deep into it, I had a phone call with Brian Phillips earlier today, and he wanted me to let you know about that. I don't know if he's in here or not, but
he comes by. Yeah, I talked to him the other day too. I was talking about you guys. I'm gonna probably. I think he'd be a fun time to have on.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
He's a hoot, man. I've talked to him actually off and on for a couple of years, probably at this point. So yeah, you talked to him today. He said, "Hey, huh?"
Yeah, he did.
Brian Phillips wants a shout out from me.
I guess so.
My little channel. You guys, I'm just going to start with that. You guys started your channel not that long ago, really. Like, can you tell me when?
Was it May of 21?
That's what I was gonna say. May of 21, I believe. But
May of 21. So is that like at the beginning of COVID time? Or no, that's after.
Then, yeah.
That's after.
I would have been a year after, yeah.
Okay, yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
And you guys are located in like what state?
Up in New Hampshire, yeah.
Are you both still in that same area?
Mm-hmm.
Awesome. Why did I think one of you guys had to move?
That would be me. Me and Zach both grew up in Seattle together, and I was working for another channel for the past couple of years, and eventually we just kind of reached the point where we both wanted to go different directions. But I wanted to keep doing YouTube, and I had Zach, and I wanted to kind of follow the passion of doing RC, and that's kind of how we made it work, because I ended up moving out here.
So were you guys already like, so you guys are buddies before you flew RC, or was it RC?
Yeah. Yeah, we've known each other for, well, I guess we technically met through RC at our local field out in Washington. But yeah, I mean, it's been almost 10 or over 10 years that I think we've known each other. Yeah.
That's so before you flew RC or altogether 10?
I guess it would have been when we met at the RC field. Yeah.
That's always neat to see how connections are made, and a lot of us we all have some kind of story that way. Me and Mike had a story too, where it was at our local flying field. And then that's where you're going to meet these guys. Cause there's not, it's funny. Like, it's not like there's a ton of them in your neighborhood, but we all can come together, and there apparently is a bunch of us, but we're just out of the woodwork, and that kind of reminds me of the epiphany I think we all had when Flight Test garnered up a ton of data from their communities when trying to get comments for the FAA, and the sheer numbers of all these people flying that aren't, if you go off the AMA numbers, it's not as big as it truly is. These are just the people that have done the thing officially and fly at clubs. So the reality of realizing how many people truly are just kind of doing it wherever, that truly let everybody know how many people there were to really come out of the woodwork, and how powerful a community can be if everybody kind of comes together and rallies when we're supposed to. When there's a call to action, we should act.
Yep.
So you guys met, you were flying planes. This is just me finding out stuff. I love it. So you guys are flying planes together. How long were you flying planes together before you realized And you said, Ben, that you came from a channel before.
Correct. Yeah. Me and a different friend had a channel that we both worked on right outside of high school up until what was it, about 2 years ago now?
So
Year and a half.
YouTube was on the brain for you already still when you guys got together?
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's always been kind of at the forefront of my mind.
Nice. And you were with it right away, Zach? You're like, all right.
You mean going into YouTube with Ben, or?
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, how would you describe that? Because I mean, technically, I had a different channel, and it wasn't something I took as seriously as we're taking this, I guess would be a way to put it. But
it was it's kind of a cool story because after you brought up like when did I first meet Zach, I think the first time I actually met him was in a hobby shop when he was working there. And it's funny because I actually found him on YouTube first. So I knew immediately who he was when I went to the hobby shop. And I thought it was the coolest thing in the world.
It was a hobby town too, by the way.
Awesome.
Yeah.
No, tell us more. I mean, that stuff is all really that's it. That's the good stuff right there. Like, everybody's got a story when they started RC, but I think there's a little something extra about when you bring something together and you kind of know already that you're, not to sound lofty or like you're aiming high, but you just know already there's more you have to give than people can get unless you put a camera on it and go that way.
Yeah.
Was the vision clear to you, like right away, what you wanted to do? Like, because I remember, and I only make this as an example, but I remember Mike and I feel like my main reason for wanting to do a channel was to kind of make the stuff that I wanted to watch, like make the stuff that I wished I was seeing out there in the world of video. I mean, there were not a lot of, it's not like it is now. So there were a lot of guys maybe capturing stuff for posterity, but there wasn't a whole lot of people really like kind of going for the channel of it all unless they were corporate. So you'd had companies like, Banana Hobby, Nitroplanes, and of course the big guys. But the neat thing about Nitroplanes, kind of Banana Hobby, was it had the guy next door feel, though. It didn't really feel very corporate. It kind of was like, okay, this is like not a bad format. You're watching these videos, you're liking them. They're some of the best videos shot at the time on the web. But I remember me and Mike being like, I want to see this thing land, and they don't show me one, or they just touch the wheels down, they cut, it's over. And once you're seasoned, you know why they cut it. It's because they ground looped, they wrecked, whatever. It wasn't pretty, because you know what it's like. If you grease one in, and you got it on camera, you're going to show folks.
Yeah.
Right. So that was something we thought was missing. And one of my first, passions, the thing I wanted to like fill as a void. What did you guys see as a void? Like, what was your approach? Did you know right away?
For me, I don't know. We each kind of bring different things to Tail Heavy, I think. But for me, I saw that RC YouTube is, an extreme niche, right? It's just a really small set amount of people. And as a result, a lot of popular concepts that already exist on YouTube were kind of missing in that niche. And, as you brought up earlier, you want to create something that you want to watch. And I didn't necessarily find myself on RC YouTube all that often. And I just wanted to make something that was different than what most other people had, been able to watch.
Nailed it, like 100%. And I think that's what I really noticed about you too, because if you're coming from, a lot of us in the community are really the only reason we're online is for this RC stuff. And RC is, I can actually exist and be close to the cutting edge, but we're a little bit dinosaurish, catching up. And you guys appear to be fairly young to me. And so, and also, like, if you're doing other things on YouTube and you're really paying attention, and that's what I noticed about you guys. I already knew you guys were paying attention to what works on YouTube, regardless of what niche it was in the first place. And things like, I've said this to you, Zach, like, it's paced super well. It definitely keeps your attention. The editing is slick. We all love the drop in stuff. And being a YouTube guy myself, I know like you guys know what it takes to keep people's attention. And so you started this channel in 2021 and you're approaching 16,000 subs already. Right? I mean, that's a testament to you knowing what you're doing, I think. And so
Well, thank you.
congratulations, man. I was once these guys turned me on, I was like I keep saying, I really thought it was just an awesome Instagram. And no, that's just clips from the videos.
You know what's funny is kind of on that topic. You know, when we started Tail Heavy, I knew that converting people from one social media platform to another is extremely difficult. But you know, we got close to I think 100,000 followers on Instagram, and it virtually did nothing for our YouTube.
It's
Yeah,
funny,
that
right?
is,
It's a
yeah.
completely different place. Like I've got about 34,000 on Instagram, and I feel like that's fantastic. And you at near would you say 100,000?
I
Yeah,
think we're around there
that's
somewhere.
kick-ass. That's
So, yeah.
kick-ass. But yeah, as far as the crossover,
Yeah,
you got, if you've been doing this for a minute, you know that that's not even the angle to take with those platforms. You just have to meet the community wherever they are. If they make it to YouTube, that's great. But I gave up on that a while ago because you don't see the direct correlation. I could post a video, I could post a reel, just even blatantly obvious about call to action, subscribe, which seems spammy at this point after you've got the kind of series of content and the flavor and the vibe that you have on your, you know, your Instagram and the way mine works. You know, I learned to get over it because I was really trying to cross promote at first. That was really kind of my main reason for starting any of these short form platforms.
Yep.
You know, my TikTok's not awful. I don't talk about it a lot because my head's really on YouTube, and Instagram did pretty good. So it's been able to keep my attention. But at this point, I know it's not going to do much in a way of cross promotion. So I think you guys are doing the same thing where it's just like, you know what, put your best foot forward. Like this is a visual thing. Give them something to look at. You know, everyone likes crazy and crashes.
Yeah,
So
exactly. I think at one point Ben had mentioned too, like almost approach it as more a brand recognition. Obviously, we're not a huge, by any means, a big thing, but it's still like it at least gets the brand name in front of people's eyes and the kind of content we make.
I mean, just like you said, I saw you guys on Instagram, and then I found out you had a YouTube, and
Yeah, we've had that happen before.
and it is brand recognition because it's like, oh yeah, I heard of those guys. I mean, legit, that's exactly what happened right here on the channel. Somebody was talking about, I think it was the RV7 video and some call outs, and it definitely piqued my interest in it, but I had already heard of you. So yeah, brand recognition for sure. And then there's some people that are going to love you and be just content on the short form.
Yep.
And maybe they don't check out, they don't know what they're missing, but maybe they don't have, you know, they're not checking that out. But what I appreciate about you all's approach is I do think it's fresh. I think it's current. I think it's, I've said it, mainstream in a way where it's following the meter, the pacing, the kind of rules that would be in the cliff notes for YouTube success if there was one. So good job.
well, thank you,
Man.
Our real goal with it is we really just want to popularize RC in a way that would be, I don't know, otherwise difficult if we were kids.
I think what's refreshing among so much is I think people easily tire of reviews, perhaps. And I'll pat myself on the back real quick. I think maybe I'm low key enough that it doesn't always feel like one, so it works for me. But you're definitely, you do some, but like it's a whole different angle, which is a so fresh approach. How do you feel about that? I mean, not that you have a hard line, maybe you do. Do you plan to do? I know people like what they're seeing. They just want to see more. And as long as they get more, I think we'll all be happy. But I'm sure there are guys that want to know, like, are you guys going to do reviews? Are you interested in doing that? Or do you like the freedom, so to say, of really being able to unhinge the snark. Dude, there's some really fun biting stuff, man. You're slipping in jab. It's really funny. I love the way you sign off too. Like the things we get for subscribing is really remarkable. And the backhanded
It's funny.
insults.
It's funny you bring that up before we answer about the whole review thing, but
Yeah.
just to give background to the tag at the end, the
Yeah.
happy landings and bounce one on thing comes from two of my like biggest influences in full scale aviation. Two mentors of mine that unfortunately have both passed, but one of them always signed his emails with happy landings. So I stole that from him. And then the bounce one on for us is from another one of the mentors that anytime that he was saying goodnight or like bye after a combo, he'd say bounce one on for me. And that was, so I just wanted to kind of give them a little nod by putting that in the end of all of our videos.
Yeah,
so.
You actually cut for just a minute. Repeat the last one again, because I love the homage to these mentors.
Okay, yeah. The last one for bounce it on, yeah, that was from another mentor that ended a lot of phone calls with like, well, bounce one on for me. That was like his thing. So I,
nice,
as a homage to them, yeah. So
nice. That's great. I
There's,
think it's
there's actually a lot of little kind of pieces of mentors from both of our lives throughout the channel. I don't know, most people probably won't know this, but we actually started the channel under a different name, and that was Silver. Silver Aviation, right?
Silviation, we kind of like made it our own word, but
I don't even know what I'm talking about.
It's fine.
But yeah, that is kind of an ode to the plane that Zach has most of your time in, right? To real time at least. Along with our current channel logo is that plane, Luscombe.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
But then we realized that we're like Ben had said, it's a niche thing already. So we're like, well, we should make the name something a little bit more relatable. But yeah, but that was we started that way at least. So kept the logo, but changed the name.
It's interesting. And honestly, I might have seen that before, but it pops now. I mean, Tail Heavy Productions, it's easy to remember. It's great branding stuff. It's anybody who's flying know what you get when it's tail heavy.
Yes.
And we see a lot of like hovering through alleys of trees, where you're telling us you got the battery taped to the vertical and stuff.
Oh, God, yeah.
So to say.
Yeah.
How'd you come up with that name, Tail Heavy Productions? Was it a solution to
that was all Ben, I think.
We when we started the channel, we uploaded, I want to say 4 videos, and then I was still working with the other channel at the time, so we kind of toned it back a little bit, uploaded maybe once every couple months. But once I quit the other channel and I was like, okay, I want to like take this a little bit more seriously, I was laying in bed one night and the name just kind of popped in my head because Zach and I kind of always were jokes at the field for flying tail heavy, and I was like, oh, that is just so fitting.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
That's perfect. So. You better like it too, because you'll be stuck with it.
Yeah. That's
like
true,
I am gonna be Pilot Ryan forever, I think.
Yeah.
It's all right.
Yeah.
So back to the review question.
Yeah. I'm trying to think on I mean, ultimately, Ben, you can jump in if you want, but the main thing was for reviews for us, like you said, we're trying not to inundate the uploads with reviews. We want to be able to also do the educational stuff. We want to do the just flying field vlogs, anything else that we've been putting out, the list videos, like, the 10 pilots you'll meet. But also we try to only review planes that we know we would want to go by ourselves, right? And to give a shot with. But I don't know. Do you have anything to expand on that with? Or
yeah, just on that topic with the talking about planes that we would actually enjoy. We did a couple of reviews where we had a plane that it wasn't like clicking with us, and as a result, we just weren't really proud of the video itself. There's something that passion just kind of brings to the table that you can't force, in my opinion.
Yeah,
I get it. And magically somehow have managed to fly all kinds of stuff. But I'm choosy too. I mean, I stay pretty, almost to a point brand loyal. Like I'm fairly content with the top handful of purveyors of fine RC, stuff. But yeah, you don't want to, it's almost, and I see some big channels do the same thing where they're like, yeah, I'm just not going to do that one. Cause if I don't have anything nice to say, why bother? You know, not like everything needs glowing accolades, but you know, the thing for me, I feel like it's, I mean, I know I'm having fun regardless of whatever. Some of it's more fun than others.
Yeah.
And if you follow if you're in a community, the guys get to know each other. They know, they can tell when you're jacked up for something. You can tell, just like I can tell Ben was super dejected at the end of the massive airplane build video, dude. You know, it was like it had been a long few days or something.
Yeah.
And then he decided to hand launch it, no wheels. And he was already at the end of his bloody rope. And then it crashed. I'm like, they didn't show you after that because I bet there was cuss words involved. I don't know.
There was a lot of frustration with that project for sure. A little bit of background on it. This was about a week, not even a week. I think it was like 5 days before me and my girlfriend planned to hit the road and move out to New Hampshire. And I wanted one last fun project with the boys, you know.
Yeah.
You know how it goes. So we came up with this like one big final build we'd all do together. And we set out to do it in 48 hours. And by day 3, it just kept dragging on day after day after day. I didn't even want to fly it by the end of it. I was like, I'm just done, dude. I gotta go home. I gotta pack. Like I gotta drive across the country.
Yep.
Well, I'm glad you guys did it. And then that seemed to be inspiration for more projects that had a better chance of getting up. And I really enjoyed watching those. You know what I mean? I find myself just laughing and smiling all the time. And I you know, guys, you got to watch this stuff for yourself, because I know it sounds like I'm just sucking up, but I truly am impressed, and I think it really is a breath of fresh air. So
Thanks,
yeah, those builds, and then the
Do you mind if I just interject one thing real quick?
What's that? I'm sorry.
Do you mind if I interject something real quick?
Not at all, man. I was thinking watermelon.
Yeah, that was fun.
On the topic of builds, you know, I brought up being different earlier, right? I think one of the big ways that we can kind of set ourselves apart from other channels with that is that Zach and I are awful builders, right? You see like Peter, he's building this super intricate power drill that can fly, or fly test this plane that is bigger than my car. But what me and Zach do is just hack something together and prove that it can work. And I think that a lot of people, I don't know, we hope that they'll take up building because of that, because they realize that it is something that everyone could do.
That's where the whole, like, where we poke fun at the armchair engineer thing comes from. Like, it's all obviously just we're just having fun. But at the same time, like, we do that. Like, we build planes that it's like, yeah, you look at it, you're like, are you going to fix that? Are you going to fix this? And we're like, no, we're just, it's fine.
know,
like,
that stuff works because we do it too. Like that you know, you either do some of that armchair stuff yourself, or you see when it's being done, and how folks are acting about things. And it's a community, it's a scene, and it's okay to put words to the nuance. I think it's real neat glass you guys are like looking through. Who does the edits?
That's all Ben. Yeah. Yeah.
So
I'll sometimes drag and drop stuff when he gets bored of that, but I can't do any of the crazy effects and all that. It's all him.
Man, good job. And like you must be pulling stock footage from places.
Yeah,
we
use a couple sources for stuff, but a lot of it just actually comes from our own community on YouTube, and we try and credit them whenever possible. But
oh, that for sure. I guess I'm in my mind, I'm thinking about the memes and some of that, some of that stuff. I love it. The pro tips, the memes. I got a question for you.
Mm-hmm.
Aerobatics or acrobatics?
Oh no. Depends where you are in the world, I guess. I heard that in Europe or the UK specifically, they'll call it acro, or I don't know, whatever I was poking at. But yeah. I don't know. Aerobatics is what I call it.
it feels natural when you hear aerobatics, and you always notice when you hear acrobatics, and then you're like, I guess that's still right.
Yeah. Depends.
Hey, did
Yeah.
you
No,
change?
it's kind of like the media. That's a whole other thing. We actually left. There were so many other things we left out of that video, but because we'll hopefully have a V2 of it. But one of the big things in full scale aviation is tarmac. Like, it's not an actual term seen anywhere, but people say it. You know, it's the ramp, it's the apron, the tarmac isn't the word. You know, it's in all facets of every industry. You know what I mean?
You know what? You ever hang out with your grandpa? There's 4 names for that wrench.
Oh God. Yep.
You know what I mean? There
Yeah.
are 4 names for that stinking wrench. It's so funny that the way that works.
Yeah.
I really dig the memes, and I do like, and I saw call that out, Ben, in one of the videos. Kind of the difference between the to me speaks to accessibility. Like, yeah, we're just kind of rough putting these things together, and this other group has some like serious time and staff basically helping them do some of that.
Yeah, we're trying to make it more relatable. Exactly.
Yeah, and it's obviously working. Look, you're gonna pass me up anytime now. Not that it's not all about that, but it's a little.
No, yeah, I've never been one to be a fan of like the comparing sub counts and stuff. I think it's all about, we're just all doing it for the same reason.
It happens though. I always joke, I'm like, it's only the channels that don't have any subs that say that stuff.
Yeah.
And that's kind of mean, but it's probably a little bit true. But yeah, look, man, I mean, you guys are sitting at 16. You're a year and a half old or something. I'm just now hitting 20 soon. And it is what it is. I don't care, because your community tells you how big you're stepping, how active, how much they engage, how your comment sections look. I mean, that's where the rubber meets the road, and that's where the community building happens, because it isn't just, hey, look at me. It's like, hey, we're sharing this. Let's go. Like, just like the chat. Not everybody knows everything. It's nice to have a community of people to. You may not know the answer, but you know who does.
Yep.
Uh-oh. I just lost power.
Oh no.
Hey, well, at least you're still streaming.
Yeah, that sucks. Hold on.
Got any lanterns?
No, but I do have
phone flashlight. A little bit of a scary story going.
Yeah, there we go.
God bless America. This would happen to me tonight.
Well, dang, like I'm impressed. I would have thought you were on a desktop. You're still streaming. That's awesome.
I'm on a MacBook.
Yeah, there you go.
Smart guy.
Yeah. If it does that flash off and on one more time and it doesn't go on, it won't go on.
Oh, yeah.
Because it's like 3 times at the transformer station, and it's a problem.
Yeah, shoot.
Sucks. We'll go till we run out of juice.
All right.
Sounds good.
It's going to be hard for me to read my notes, but I can do scary ghost stories.
There we go. Scary questions.
Oh, jeez.
Scary ones. Yeah, so I'm still kind of a little bit on the. Have companies approached you to do reviews? And like you said, you weren't really all about it. You didn't like if you're not just wild about it, forget it. Seems to be an easy credo for you guys to stand on.
Yeah.
I don't think we can go too in depth on it, but we're working with a few companies here and there. Yeah. Obviously, Flex Innovations we can name.
Yeah, that's pretty straightforward.
Yeah.
The nice thing though is that it's not like who we have been working with has been fine with us only reviewing the things that we know that we would go by ourselves, and that that fits our flying style, right? So
that's nice. That makes sense. And I mean, all the time I've been doing this, nobody's ever told me what to say. So, if they already know what they it's not like you're out of nowhere. They can see your content.
Mm-hmm.
They know what they're getting working with you. So let it rip.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Falcon Flight 747 says, You guys have the best voice for your videos. I agree. I think that I told you that. You're real easy to listen to, man, and keep attention.
It's funny. You should get Zach to watch. Don't actually, but get Zach to watch back a video from when we first started. And I don't know. Even my editing too. Sometimes it's hard to look back on, but
It's
yeah.
so hard to look back.
But like the difference in inflection. So I've learned a lot doing it for sure. I mean, both of us have with everything we're doing with these. But like you listen back to the originals, I'm like really quiet, like just really a lot of time. And then now, like I've really tried to add more inflection and stuff. And no, but we've been learning. So
yeah, great job. I when I stammer around and stuff, I just at this point cut it out. There's some and this and that. It is what it is. Y'all are scripting what you're putting out, I think.
Mm-hmm.
And it feels like it, and it's paced super well because of it. I do a lot of my pacing in the edit because I just shoot from the cuff.
Yeah. And the other day you were doing just all single cam stuff, right?
Man, yeah. Cause I can't not get things done. It's like, you know what? I was just talking to my wife about it too. It's like, you know what? Figure out how to make the dopest videos you can make by yourself. And if you have help, you have help. If you don't, you're still getting things done.
Yeah, dude. I thought that was really cool.
Thanks. They're stacking up on me. It's starting to get nice. Like, I'll be damned. I'm going to figure it out. And you know what? So what? Yep. I'm keeping these planes close enough that with the GoPro on the bill of my hat, it's actually not awful to watch. And I cut the bull out because I can. A lot of times with my videos or shakedowns, I'll cut the hell out of the beginning and the end, but I really want the flight to be the whole flight. Because the viewer, I feel, wants that. Me as a video person feels like I want to cut it out when there's a lull or when it gets slow.
Yeah.
And so doing these videos by myself with multiple cameras, I'm cutting it because it's already a little bit less than ideal. So it's like, let me at least have the pacing working on in my favor a little bit. So the one I put out today, I mean, I'm proud of it, dude. That slow stick thing that, a couple cameras, I mean, legit, like my cell phone magnet to the windsock pole.
Yep. That's sweet, man.
And a GoPro on my head. I mean, I got it done actually the morning of release and was planning on having it released that day. And you'll understand. I shot some of it in 120, some of it in 60, and I didn't really rectify these issues in Adobe. And so when I went to my export and all this, like all of a sudden a 16-minute video shows that it's like 50 minutes long. I'm like, it's like weirdly stuck in this slow-mo. I got to go change settings, re-render, upload, all this. So finally it was today by the time I got it up.
Yep.
You guys ripped that Yak 130 in the snow and everything. That was pretty wild.
That was like totally lucky too that we we were thinking about just not even bringing the plane to the field that day. But I was like, no, we'll give it a shot. And then because it was like really cold snow, the difference. There's really wet, heavy snow, and then there's cold snow. And like it was perfect. Like it was just enough. There was this layer of ice, and then maybe like a dusting of that light, fluffy snow on top. And I was like, well, let's set it down gently and try it. And it worked. So
cold enough, it was still like fluffy, like powdery.
Yeah, I mean, you could take a leaf blower to it. You know what I mean? Like that kind of.
Honestly, the surface vehicles kind of are the same way. It's like if it's wet, I don't get them out. But that powder, the powder is pretty good.
Yep.
So your goals for the channel, I mean, education is big for you all. It seems like, and it's also just it's just so nice you have this different angle. I think there's an expression I've heard about different is better than better.
Yeah.
So you're good and you're different. So have you got anything officially happening, or what are your opinions on? Should we even ask about remote ID and some of that kind of stuff?
I don't know. I mean, I don't know that I could go on about this forever because it's constantly changing. Is the problem.
That's true too.
you formulate an idea of what's going to happen, and then a week later, you know, the FTCA comes out with a new video, AMA releases something, and there's a new update. So it's kind of hard to really formulate something. But
Meanwhile, we
I don't
just keep putting out what we put out.
yeah, exactly. Yeah.
So you guys do some drone stuff in your videos too. Do you bring?
Yeah, that's
Is that a buddy?
some of them. Yeah.
Yeah, that was a good friend of mine back in Seattle. He's actually the guy that I ran the other channel with.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, he's big into drones, but I've been missing that part of my videos lately.
Yeah, man, he adds so much to it, man. Yeah.
Are you gonna do some more of that?
We're gonna try and get him out here this summer for a chunk of time, so we can, you know, try and get some good air-to-air content in. Because I mean, he gets like so freaking close sometimes. Yeah.
Not to be a stickler, but like the does he have the 107?
Does he have? Oh, I don't know. I don't think so. Oh, yeah.
The answer is yes.
Oh, well, I don't know.
But he's Zach explained the terminology to me, right? You were saying that we're not hiring him to make a video.
He's
right?
not. Yeah, there's no. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Part 107 is only if you're actually operating for hire. Like it's. Yeah. There's a lot of misconceptions with that.
Because I'm a little bit. I've done a little bit of drone shots in some of the videos, and then I got nervous because I'm like, I need I need somebody with a Part 107, because to me, the language I understand it as, they say anything that is perceived as being in furtherance of a business. And you can kind of straddle the line there, but like you could also easily just feel like, yeah, they could get me if they want to. Not that they will or anything like that, but it's like I was nervous. I was like, you know what? If somebody wants to make a stink about this, they might be able to, and I don't want them to be able to, so I just quit doing it.
Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah. There's a ghost behind me, says Bobby. I can't.
It's that new stick, man.
Emergency light on in here, and that's and my cell phone. The show that just goes on and on and on. Holy smokes! Hey, community, got any questions for Zach or Ben? Let me know. Let me see it in here in the chat. This feels so weird that I'm all this stupid ass light.
Yeah,
hey, you're probably blind right now, right?
Oh my
it's
gosh.
like it's hard to see my notes, like everything. So do you have any ties with Flight Test?
No,
Just both fans growing up watching them.
Yeah,
Was that the first stuff you saw?
For me, and I mean, you can add to this too, but like I would say like the biggest influences I felt for this channel were like Flight Test, especially when they had first started, because that was when I found them, was, you know, right as they started in the garage. And then that combined with when RC Superpowers was like at his peak, kind of a
You
combo
remember
with,
that guy?
Oh, 100%, man. Yeah.
Dude, Dave Superpowers, right? Dave Powers.
Yeah.
Bro.
Because the kind of stuff he did was so like, it was relatable because it was just pointing a camera at guys having fun, flying something, crashing it, just having a good time. And that combined with Flight Tests more, especially, I'm trying to think, like more of like their studio feel. You pair the two of them together, you know what I mean? So
Dave Powers, man, that cat, he had kits. He would go out with a handful of folks. I mean, to me, I always felt in a way that guy is a serious OG.
Oh, 100%. Yeah. I mean,
no credit gets given to him, but I would have to say Flight Test was inspired by that guy. I'd have to say it.
I'm sure
a lot of us were.
No.
Is he still doing it though? Do you know?
He's not doing RC. He's doing like, I think something in like psychology. He and I don't know if it's his wife or somebody, they do some videos together, like Myers-Briggs, I think maybe even. I don't know. It's interesting,
wow.
But yeah, that's what he's up to now. But
because he seemed like a real engineer kind of guy.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Like he was
messing with gyros before like anybody else was, you know what I mean? Like to make the weirdest things fly. It was cool.
Yeah, I remember, man, that he had a group of folks that would come out there. There was a girl, there was another guy. Yeah, that was fun.
Yeah.
So that was like the first videos you saw then, you'd say.
I would say of like, the most influenced us, and then also like when I had first started to, Dave Herbert, Night Flyer, he was another big one that I
Yeah.
spent a lot of time watching too. And coincidentally, actually, he's become a mentor to me in the last few months. I connected with him, and we've been kind of chatting behind the scenes. And yeah, it's cool because like I looked up to him as a kid, like 2007, 2008, right when YouTube started. He was putting these things out.
Yeah.
And now, fast forward, being able to chat with him, and yeah, so he's definitely a good guy and another influence for sure. So
Does he still make videos?
he does, yeah. That's his full-time hobby in retirement is making videos, having fun flying, building helicopters.
And that's
he did it-
I think I remember this guy. That's Night Flyer
Yep,
Mhm.
RC.
exactly, yeah.
Is that what it's called?
Just Night Flyer, yeah.
Just Night Flyer. I
yep.
feel like wasn't he flying like it seemed like there were nice runways around.
Most of his early stuff, I think he's out in the Midwest as well, and he's flying like off of. Well, he has an RC field, like an AMA or an AMA charter club, but I know that he also flies just at open, I think, like construction sites where there's a bunch of roads that are there, but nothing's around yet. You know what I mean? That was what he was doing back then, but.
Nice. That's cool. What about you? What about you, Zach? What was the first like YouTube RC channel that you noticed?
I think you mixed this up.
Ben, yeah.
I'm
yeah.
sorry. Yeah, my bad.
It's all
Ben,
No worries.
Ben, I'm sorry.
Zach is a little bit. No worries. Zach's a little bit older than me, and I think Night Flyer and RC Superpowers might have been a touch before my time. For me, I think it was really Flight Test.
Yeah.
No.
Well, I was surprised because really, I feel like you guys are young cats, and I was surprised to hear Superpowers from Zach.
Yeah.
Actually, because man, when I got in at like 2009 is when I started doing this.
Yep.
And so that cat was around, and Flight Test had. I remember when they started. I remember the Wildcat.
2010, yeah. I started my first channel that I was telling you about. That was also the same year, 2009. Yeah. So
I had a channel, and my wife was helping me film back in the day, and then Flight Test came out, and it was so good.
Yeah, you're like, how do you compete? Yeah,
we quit.
Yeah.
We quit until I got up here. I moved to South Bend instead of. I'm from Muncie, where the AMA is.
Yep. That's
and
cool.
Moved up here, and then met Mike, and then he mentioned something about a YouTube channel, and I was like, I wanted to do it. I already had one. I was trying.
Yeah.
And so the minute he mentioned it, it was done. And we had different names too. I mean, we were RC Air Training Command.
Yeah.
We were doing like flight lessons on the Champ. They're still up. Those videos are still up. They're awful to watch.
What about I just remembered another one that I spent time watching. Eric Jordan, Around 2 at RC.
Yeah, I remember him.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I always watch that stuff. And you know what? That cat had a great time. I don't think he crashed a lot, but man, he was having a good time, and his wife was doing it with him, and it was working. Yeah. And I mean, back in that time, I think the sailors got going, and they've been doing it 10 years or something, I guess. I don't know. And then and then Brian Phillips has been doing it for a little while at this point.
Oh yeah.
2012 is when we started this channel, but we didn't do this channel for 5 years.
Yeah, it took your time to get going. Yeah.
No, we went bonkers right away, and it did pretty good. And we got recruited and worked somewhere else for 5 years.
Understood. Yeah.
And so this just sat here dead with the old name. And the best performing content was the evergreen stuff, not the reviews. I got to tell you.
Oh, really? Yeah.
It was Captain Mike's Dr. Expo Spectrum DX6i tutorial. That even though my channel was dead, like that thing always performed. Evergreen.
Yeah.
evergreen. But yeah, then we came back after our time at Motion, and it was still RCA Training Command. So, but at this point, we're branded. People knew us as Pilot Ryan and Captain Mike, so we changed it to Pilot Ryan and Captain Mike RC. I had logos done like professional. Like I was like, all right, I'm not going to miss a beat. And
Yeah.
and then Mike basically flaked. So I spent all this money on like graphics and some designer work, and then he wasn't really doing it. So I was Pilot Ryan and Captain Mike RC for a little while, and then I just changed it to Pilot Ryan Media.
Yeah.
Because I'm like, I guess I'm for hire, y'all. Let's go. I felt like if I put media at the end of it, it was gonna help say that.
Yeah.
Because trying to define, all I know is I'm going to keep going. I don't always know what it is.
Yeah.
I after all this time, I feel like I kind of know what the value proposition is, and that's what I gauge myself up against, and that's why I think a lot of times I'm not doing as good a job as I want to do. What are your ultimate goals with this? Do you want to see? I mean, a lot of us, I know me, like when I played music, everybody wants to make it, like some of us YouTube guys were 8 up. We just think we're going to make it or something. What do you want to achieve? Are you worried about any of the monetization side of this stuff? Or is that gravy? Would you consider if your channel goes crazy going full time? It's hard to beat your current situations, though, I assume.
Yeah. I mean, the way we've been going about it right now has been working for sure. And I mean, ultimately, just continuing to pump out a video a week, try and inspire people to approach the hobby in different ways, not take themselves as seriously like we talked about. I mean, it's just ultimately continuing to expand on like our core mission, which is the whole educate and promote flying RC planes in unconventional ways, right? That's the whole thing. And but I don't know, what would you have to add to that?
Just more on a business side of things, I guess. Eventually, we'd like Tail Heavy RC to become kind of a one-stop hobby shop almost. Like, you want to get into RC, you can come to us and do it. And at some point, this may never happen, but I think it would be really cool to release our own line of aircraft that we love flying. And as far as doing it full time, I actually moved out here to do this full time.
Yeah.
So I'm already in deep water.
Yeah, it's true. Yeah.
Nice. And do you guys have families? You married and stuff like that, or no? Any kids?
No, just dogs.
So
yeah,
that's still kids.
Yeah.
It took me, I mean, I'm 48 or something, and it's kind of scary. Like, I got a handful of kids. I had a pretty really good situation, nice little job, but it can be done. But for in my situation, YouTube doesn't do enough to sustain my family. So yeah, you got to figure out what else in RC you can do. And because of this influencer stuff, I have hard numbers I'm turning in every year. So I was knowing the benefit of my persistence, how it affects the bottom line for RC hobby in general. Just my little part, not, what I'm saying, my little part. I'm doing taxes on this stuff. It's like, you know what?
Yeah.
We're obviously moving this stuff. Let's get in the way a little bit. I wish you the most success. It's a hard balance. It's good to keep your job. Just got to say, because it keeps the pressure off.
Oh yeah.
A lot of folks are surprised I haven't burned out yet. I got to be honest. And I don't know how I haven't. Like, it's a crazy balancing act of expectations and things like that. And if you have expectations, you'll be let down. So it's like, you just do you, keep it up, and it has to work out. The only thing that'll hurt you is if you stop.
Yeah, exactly.
That's it.
That's kind of been my reasoning though. Is I look at it, when I was considering moving out here, and I'm like, you know what? I'm 22. Like right now is the time for me to make as many mistakes as I can. Like if maybe this goes somewhere, maybe it doesn't. I won't know unless I try.
True, and regret's awful to live with, so you got to go for it. And if you don't believe in you, who else is gonna? And you're right. Look, man, I'm 48 doing it with 4 kids. Like, definitely at 22, you can screw up a bunch of times still.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, really, that's good. I like it. I cannot believe the lights haven't come back on.
I know. Bummer. Yeah.
That is crazy. So, what was the first plane you put up in the air, Zach, when you were learning how to fly? Like, what was the first plane you flew?
Man.
RC or full scale?
Both.
Both, yeah. I don't know. RC, I'm trying to remember because it went back to like my my sister played soccer and we were at like I see these airplanes flying and of course I'm like squirrel, like I have to go and like screw the soccer game. I'm going over here and then next thing I know, I don't remember what the exact plane was, but I literally was like that kid that we joke about in our videos, like walked up to the guy like, can I fly it? Like and that I think at that point it was some I don't even remember. It was remember when they used to make, I don't know if you remember this, they used to make some nitro trainers that had full on like plastic fuselages. That was what I remember it being, something like that, where it was a high wing trainer, but it was heavy. And I had nerded out as a kid on flight sim and flown from the tower view or whatever. So
yeah,
I don't know.
Heard about those.
Yeah, it worked out, but yeah, I think I know the first plane I ever bought, like with my own like earned money from like mowing lawns and stuff, was the Park Zone Cessna 210 Centurion, that first micro series. Remember that technically was Kyosho, but they branded as Park Zone. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Nice. Yeah. What about you, Ben?
Believe it or not, I think I was probably around 8 years old, maybe, give or take. And it was, you remember air hogs?
Yeah.
Yeah, those. My dad, it was like every summer he would buy me one and I would ruin it like that. But until I started going to RC fields, that was kind of the cycle I went through.
Yeah.
Air hogs, I always felt like, are they doing us a favor or are they making it bad?
I mean, they're getting people interested.
Did you have success with the air hogs, man, when you were doing it? Because I don't think I ever saw one really.
You definitely just brought back some memories for me, Ben, because I know I definitely had air hogs before because I guess I assume we were talking like hobby grade, but I definitely messed with some air hogs too.
I actually had decent success with it.
Did you?
After a couple of them. But,
yeah.
I mean, they had issues, don't get me wrong, but as far as, flying it like a hobby grade plane, you could take off, you could land, do, stuff like that.
Yeah.
I mean, it's amazing think about what we're talking about. It really is a little bit of magic that these things fly at all, right? The big ones do.
Yeah.
I mean, you seen that t-shirt where they got the diagram of the lift, the thrust, the drag, the gravity. They got the arrows pointing. Yeah, the arrows pointing to the plane from all 4 areas, and it says magic, 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 magic.
Yeah.
It is kind of.
Yeah, exactly.
That is, I like that. So you guys have 88 uploads, I noticed. And
I don't know that I actually counted them. That's clear.
I saw it on I took like a screen grab of your channel today when I was in that post. So I saw that. Of course, first videos are hard to watch. Mine are hard to watch. Your first videos aren't that long ago, though. So
yeah, true.
There's a big difference there. People give me hell for how old I look now and stuff. But what's the favorite video you guys have made of your own? Like, what's when you're like, yeah, this is the one. This is how I want them all. I want them all to feel like this.
For me, at least, I'm sure we both have different answers, but for me, the flight test video was so beyond challenging and frustrating around every other corner that we ended up delaying it, and it was just cool to see it pay off in the end. You know, it got a lot of eyes on it, and I was pretty proud of the final product with it.
That was an excellent video, man. I was talking about it the day I think it went out because I was actually eagerly awaiting for it, and I think I don't know if I knew because we talked or what, but I was anxious and I knew it was going to be good, and then you crushed it. That was a very good video, man.
Thank you.
Always fun and just super slick, and I love it. So that makes sense. That's a really good answer. I hate to ask you what your worst one is, but I'm gonna.
I think Zach and I would agree with this. So you're gonna say air traffic controls pet peeves?
Yeah, yeah, true. Yeah, if we're talking any of the videos, and I don't know, what about RC though?
As far as RC, I would have to look. Let me look at my phone real quick. If you have anything, go ahead.
Yeah. The one he talked about was a full scale one. Like because we were trying in the beginning of the channel, we were gonna be like, let's do a full scale upload every other week and an RC every other week. Or every other week. And the second full scale one we did was like air traffic controls biggest pet peeves, and it was such a niche thing. And I don't know. It didn't obviously flopped, but yeah.
Well, it seems like to me you wanted to take it the way you are now anyway. Like,
oh yeah, I mean, we approached those videos. Yeah, we approached those videos the same way.
Yeah, you could have went that way and made that work too. But
the problem was though, like, people, I know both Ben and I agreed on this, like, we're gonna stick to one niche and stick to that only, because if we were to go RC and full scale, it's harder to build an audience. I don't know, Ben, maybe I'm putting it the wrong way, but that was how I kind of gathered.
I totally get it. You got to stay on brand a little bit. Like, our buddy manages to unbox tractors and stuff and still work it out. But like, it really is a little easier for your audience so they know what to expect.
Yeah.
Just to kind of tack on the worst videos, really in the beginning of the channel, I really heavily relied on my previous experience with the other channel, so much so that it kind of became more of a copy and paste than our own spin on it. And now I think we're finally getting to the place where we're able to kind of mesh the two, and it's the final product, we both really like. And
the consistency, there's so much to be said and learned as the producer, you guys, when you do the consistency thing. You guys are out there. I mean, you really become practitioners, and you do get comfortable. You do find your voice. Your thumbnail, have you changed it yet, man? The thumbnail on the things that you say, the 2-pointer thumbnail, you remember that? Is it still the clown?
Yeah. The clown, yeah.
That clown that's totally me, by the way.
I remember you talking about that.
Yeah, I'm like, I'm still gonna say it, but it's hilarious. I call myself out. I have no shame. It's fine.
Yeah.
I put that video on blast too, a little bit on some of my Facebook socials, because I just thought, guys, you've all been that guy or met that guy, and laugh about yourself. It is fine. Don't take yourself too seriously.
Exactly. Yeah.
This is supposed to be fun after all, but there is cool lingo and real stuff happening. And I won't stay there long, but I mean, you mentioned it. You fly real planes for a living, and that's pretty awesome. So the RC flight has to be easy for you. I mean, the point of view is really the only thing different.
It's different. I mean, I know there's other folks that kind of do both as well, and they would probably concur and can add. But like, it's I started with RC, of course, and the flight sim and all that. But it was the thing that was interesting. RC flying made full scale a lot easier for me, especially approaching upset stuff, like meaning like slow flight stalls, stuff like that. Because when you do it with RC, if you're purposely going out there and yanking the stick back, trying stalls, falling leaf, holding the stick back as it's mushing down, you really learn how an airplane reacts on that side of its envelope flight, and ultimately It really is very, very similar with full scale. And you'd start to learn, like, I've tried to transfer that to my full scale students too. Like, just keep the stick back. Nothing's going to happen. You unload the wing. You know, I'm paraphrasing a lot of stuff here, but the point being, like, it did help a lot for sure. I take things from both. So.
Yeah, definitely symbiotic.
The other one thing to add to that I remember I've brought up before. When I don't know if other full scale guys, if there's anyone in the comments about this, Nate maybe, but when I'm landing a full scale plane, I'm actually like almost visualizing it from the outside, because when you have RC, right, you're watching, you can see where the gear are, you know what a good landing looks like from the outside. And I actually like kind of find myself doing that in a full scale plane.
Do you?
There's a lot, yeah.
Well, yeah, I mean, because I've had a couple of lessons, and unless you're in the instruments only, which I never got that far, you have to put yourself outside of it. You're looking at the angle of attack, I guess, relative to the horizon. I remember watching wingtips and down the side of the cowl, because you can't see over the top. My lessons were in a 1971 Musketeer.
Okay, yeah, nice.
Yeah, it kind of looks like a Cherokee, low wing, full flying. What they call it, stabilator or something, but it's a full flying elevator. That thing was so old, it had ashtrays in it.
Yeah,
and it had reached the end of its life where it could actually still train people how to fly.
Yeah,
like I remember being up, and there's this crazy yaw on it, and he's like, just kick the rudder, dude. It'll unstick.
Yeah.
I'm like, that seems a little sketch. But fine, okay. But yeah, I remember I learned, I was getting into these planes, and that inspired me to get into the lessons. And I grew up around aviation, so it wasn't foreign, but I didn't know anything. I really didn't. And so I did study up, man. I did like the ground school, I only got a handful of hours, but I did the books.
Yeah.
And I when I was learning how to fly, I started on warbirds. I shouldn't have. It should have been a high wing thing, a little more forgiving. And so all the crashes look the same. The left-handed suplex. You're watching other videos on YouTube, and you're recognizing the fact that we all crash the same. What's going on there? And I wanted to know. So I found like some aerodynamic physics book but it was really, the context was RC. And of course it was an older book, 50s, 60s or something.
Yeah.
And so it was all wood planes, but all of the things are still in this that were in the full scale ground school. You're learning it all. And it was really cool. I would take a lesson just south of the AMA in Muncie. We'd be doing those S turns on the road and spins and stalls and recoveries. And I'd have RC planes in the car. So when I was done with my lesson, I'd drive half a mile, go in the gate, and then go do everything I just did.
Yeah. That's
in
a great
the lesson with RCs.
Yeah.
Which was, that can teach you a lot.
Oh yeah.
And I got to tell you, one other, I still have a playlist back on the channel, and they're not my videos, but they were just videos that I would find online. Because when we started this thing, we really were like bomber jacket, fighter pilot, aviator shtick. I was very serious, and Mike was the nut job. But but so I would find these what used to be classified military training videos of all the cool old warbirds, early jets, like everything I could get, like public domain, used to be, again, classified or whatever. And I would watch a video over and over and over on a guy in a T6 doing barrel rolls or 3-point landings, or what I like to call 2-pointers.
Yeah.
He'd be doing the wheel landings too. They would show it, and that's the difference on a T6. It's either Navy or Air Force. If it's Navy, it's a 3-pointer.
Yeah.
And if it was they had the runway, they would bring them in on the mains, it seems. But I learned a lot from those videos too. Had you had your license, your pilot's license, before you were doing RC, or did RC start the thing?
No. Yeah, I was like 10, 12-ish when I got into RC, and then yeah, took first lesson Young Eagles ride around about this. Well, first Young Eagles ride was like 12. If for those not familiar with it, like the EAA does a thing where
Yeah.
the owners of planes will take up kids, they introduce them, and then 15 was when I took the first lesson, and just kind of went that whole to the wall path, solo at 16, cert at 17, all that. So
Kick ass, man. So with getting it done in that quick a time frame, there was no doubt once you got to do an RC, it sounds like that you were going to get your wings for real.
oh yeah. RC,
you knew early that you were going to get you're going to go for real.
yeah. I think there's pictures of me at like as a toddler with toy airplanes and a flight suit. Like it's just always been a bug for sure.
One of my early avatars was me standing in the back seat of my grandpa's T6.
Oh, nice.
And people think it's my hands are up here over my head because of the sun. But I was mostly just freaking out because I was 5 years old, and it's kind of tall getting in those seats on a Warbird. In the back seat of a T6, it's quite a stretch if you don't have any length on you, you're a little kid, to even get in that back seat. So I was like standing there freaking out. I was fortunate to grow up around the aviation, and I really took it for granted. I thought every kid had it that way.
Yeah.
And I didn't pay. I definitely got out of it once we quit going to Oshkosh. Grandpa used to fly the T6 in the air show.
Oh, nice.
And then general aviation kind of took a hit in a way where they would quit comping gas to guys unless they had fighters. And it pissed off my grandpa, so he quit going. And then I didn't think about it again until 2009.
Yeah.
But it was always there. And I think everybody has a connection. There's always a reason. And I think a lot of my guys probably started like I did, where a lot of times warbirds or uncles or grandfathers served. A lot of it's military, and it's not because we're like gung-ho, shoot them up, but it's because that's just what it is. And they're hot rods of the sky. And I mean, those heavy metal fighters are contrary to everything flight is, really. I think you guys said it in one of your videos. It's like, keep it as light as you can.
Oh, yeah.
These fighters are contrary to that. And then these 20-year-olds were working it out. I mean, there's some serious inspiration from those stories, and also admiration to those people who made all that work. I know that's kind of what had me paying attention to it, growing up around it. The grandpa flew for a living, but yeah, we did the air shows every year forever. I mean, that's all I remember. And I thought every airplane was a warbird until I got older. You know what I mean? And I was like a little kid, like Cessna, whatever.
Yeah.
But now I think it's cool, because if I had my grandpa's T6, I'd probably kill myself. That North American stuff comes with a ground loop. I mean, they're tough.
Yeah.
Whose idea was it to put the shopping cart in the video to illustrate the tail dragger?
I guess it was mine. He pointed at me.
Zach, back when he used to be my instructor, he always used the shopping cart analogy.
Yeah.
And when it became relevant in that video, I knew I had to go out and film that. I think he was the one who brought it up.
Yeah, go find a shopping cart.
Yep.
Dude, I mean, that is the stuff. That's why you guys are fun to watch, man. People don't even maybe know, but like, that is good shit. That's really good illustrations. Did you guys do a bicycle wheel illustration one time too?
Maybe for like gyroscopic precession or something like that. I'm not sure. Yeah.
Thank you for that. I mean, I love that. And it's so fun to see those principles illustrated. And they truly are something that guys who know take for granted, but guys who are new, it's an epiphany, eureka moment for them when those things finally click. Why is it gyroscopic
Yeah.
precession? Well, because the action is exhibited 90 degrees perpendicular to the initial movement. It precedes the, you know what I'm saying, right? You know,
Yeah.
the top of the prop is moving, the disc is moving forward, but where it's exhibited is in this, what turns out to be a left yaw.
Yeah, when I can never teach that verbally to students. I'm a very visual guy, so I just show them like the video and actually have them hold a bike wheel. Like that's like the only way to get it to like really click. But
It
and
really is.
before I forget too, like I mean, obviously, like Ben had said, Ben also has full scale experience too. Both he and I started. Well, I guess I started in powered parachutes, not like the ones that are where you land on your ankles, but like I joke about that. Your ankles is landing gear, but there's actually 2 seats, like a 100-horse Rotax engine, rectangular chute. But then when I eventually got my instructor and all that, and had met Ben, we had the opportunity to teach him how to fly in the Luscombe I was flying, and so he actually has soloed the Luscombe I used to fly. So
nice.
And also power parachutes. So yeah.
Congrats! I love it. You guys are all in.
Yeah, it's fun hobby.
It is, man. And look how it leads to, there's astronauts that started off in models and currently win Reno Air races.
Exactly.
And are ambassadors for, the AMA. I mean, it just goes round and round. And I think that's pretty special.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm just so jealous of your approach. I remember talking to you, Zach, I was asking you about the scripts and how you guys do kind of come up with what you come up with. And now that you're here, Ben, for this question, I'll kind of revisit it.
Sure.
I was asking him about the storyline, so to say, right? There's always a good video there's some story. Otherwise you wouldn't be able to keep them.
Mm-hmm.
Sure.
Do you just film whenever you guys go out and then it kind of tells you what the story is? Or do you kind of have an idea and an aim ahead of time when you go out?
It depends, right?
It depends a lot. For example, any review video we do, Zach will come up with an outline of, okay, we need to test it in all these different scenarios. So then we'll go out to the field and film those scenarios. And then you can kind of create a story off of that. But as far as like vlogs go, we pretty much just go out and just try and have a good time and then make a story out of it.
That's that's the RC Powers influence right there.
Yeah.
Well, it's easy to sustain that way, and it's real.
Yeah,
so you have the wherewithal to see the story in the everyday and compile these things. And I was really glad to see you guys putting them together the way you do, because I want something to keep my attention. And like I was mentioning earlier, where I feel this obligation, and it's partly due to my 5 years elsewhere, where it seemed like the customer didn't want polish. They wanted to see the whole flight.
Mm.
So I long for I love it when I get to do, actually, that's one thing I like about my surface videos. Those things run so long. No one's worried about how long the video, you know what I'm saying? I don't have to do 20 minutes of a basher. I can do the best 5 minutes I got.
Yeah.
And I like the compilation style in a way where you're able to cut and keep it paced. And
that's you talk about like the the perfect stuff and like how you want to have like the perfect landing and all that. I mean, we went through that just same way flight test, the same way anybody does, and like that's with our reviews. Like you just saw the one we put out today. Like I freaking flew a plane into a shed. You know what I mean? But we keep that there because it's like, yeah, everybody messes up and it makes it more fun. I know if I was going to be watching it, I would probably be like, wow, like that happened. But it's, you know what I mean? It's yeah.
I think we all appreciate seeing that, and. Yeah. Not just because it's so refreshing in the world of RC to see it, but if you take it outside to the just rest of the world, we're all soaking up. Everything's so polished. Everything's trying to sell you so hard all the time. whenever we can find real somewhere,
Mhm.
we're drawn to it.
Yeah.
And it's in the RC hobby, man, people don't care where you're coming from, who you are, how old you are, what you believe in. We are tuned out and having a good time.
Yeah, and that was like we said in the video that you showed at the beginning. Like, if people do care, then you should isolate yourself from them. You know what I mean? Like, yeah. So
Yeah, don't let them bring it down for you, because
exactly. Yeah.
there are guys that can, and you have to know how to navigate them. And yeah, I think I was talking to you the other day about RC groups being my first social media.
Yep.
You know, these forums were, 'cause I got into the hobby, but I didn't have, me and my pops learned in soccer fields together, but there wasn't really any mentors. We were both learning at the same time. So I was getting online. I call it the RC like accelerated learning program, because if I waited for occurrences where I'd actually have the opportunity to be with somebody and learn, it just wasn't going to happen.
Mhm.
Not everybody
Yeah.
asks for help, and those guys are kind of hard to find unless you have the audacity to go just like kind of inject yourself into a club setting,
Yeah. True.
which not everybody has the gall to do. So that was part of Mike and I's thing too. It's like, you know what? We don't even have to see these folks if they don't want to see us. But there's a lot of folks that want to learn how to fly, and even the best manual can't give you the nuance a veteran pilot can.
Yeah.
And you know, you really can help somebody if you have a little bit of experience and you can articulate. You can really talk someone into having a successful experience when they try to fly stuff.
Yep.
And I'm such a fan of the hobby. I'm rooting for everybody. I'm rooting for us guys who use it as much as the companies who make it, because we all benefit when these companies do good. We get more choices, and that's always going to be a good thing.
Yep. Yeah, absolutely.
Not to circle back too far here, but you had brought up you had brought up, you know, being in a world just constantly filled with advertisements, and you know, we seek out things that feel real. Do you spend a lot of time on TikTok?
No.
There's two specific accounts that come to mind that are, you know, large companies, and that's Lotus Cars. I recommend you check both these accounts out. Lotus Cars and Ryanair. And the videos that they put out are not at all what you'd expect from a big brand. And it's just interesting to me to see kind of the shift in how these big companies are kind of reinventing the way that they target, you know, people like us.
Yeah, they're chameleon to the way that things are going, I guess.
Well,
Yeah.
I think that, yeah, dude. I think in a way they've had to recognize. That's the interesting thing about how long I've been on this ride, where I feel like I've really been tied between the industry and us. Like, I feel like I'm I'm right in the middle. It's a pretty cool spot to be in.
Mhm.
And I've seen these larger companies stick to their guns on being really corporate and then learn that it doesn't work.
No.
But with social media, you have to do more than just have the lights on, which what I mean by that is like have accounts in the first place. You know, like it wasn't that long ago, there were none of these platforms to even consider. But because of the world we live in, these companies have to do Instagram, have to do TikTok, even Twitter, all of that. And so they jump on and they do it because they have to, but then it doesn't really hit like the rest of all the organic stuff that's on those platforms. So they have to, they pivot. And, you know, Horizon's done really good I feel they're my buddies there, you know, it's easy for me to be all about it. They're great to me. And, I mean, they are one of the biggest things going in the business. Like if they can't make it work, we're all in trouble. So, I mean, I'm rooting for them. Right.
Mhm.
They brought on TJ, who's done a really good job to put a face to their content and really dig in and share out what just everybody's doing. Cause that's when social's working. When we realize we're just part of a thing, you know, And I think early on it was easy to be like, okay, look at me, look at me, look at me. But then you learn it's not about you, man. You're like a conduit for people to come together. And the only way this works is if you know that it goes both ways. It didn't just look at me and then I ain't got time for you. I've been doing customer service since I started this shit.
Yeah.
Some way, shape, or form in comment sections. Ton of buddies that I've met that are still in the community, they ask a question in the comment section that I could not conceivably type the answer to.
Yeah.
I will legit, I've put my phone number in the stinking comment section and told them they better call because this is going to self-destruct.
Yeah.
The phone number. I'm not going to leave it there forever.
Oh, yeah.
And I've made tons of buddies that way. And so when it's real, that's easy. A corporation has trouble existing when they stay really polished in a world where only the realest of the real is going to stick.
Yeah.
And that's what I think was kind of interesting about those two accounts I brought up is that they're not just putting, a face to the company where it feels more like a person than a company. They are acting like a 14-year-old was given a phone and was put in charge of the company.
Yeah.
And it gets a ton of attention because you look at it and you're like, this is this massive, corporation, and this is how they present themselves. But ultimately what it's doing is it's creating brand recognition. When you think of those funny videos, you think of Lotus Cars for myself, for example.
Because everything else is so slick and polished sometimes. We're so used to seeing that it doesn't resonate or stick at all.
Yeah.
I mean, there's guys that I see.
Bad PR isn't necessarily. I was just saying bad PR isn't necessarily bad. Is what I'm getting at.
Yeah. Well, and just like I swear some guys misspell stuff on purpose.
Zach and I have had this debate for a long time. I don't know if it's a debate, but I remember I didn't take spelling so seriously when we first started Tail Heavy, and Zach has always been, he likes a pretty perfect polish. But I remember I would fall back on this excuse of look at Flight Test. They typed this in wrong, and I think they did it on purpose because it doesn't blend in with all these other videos. Your eyes draw to those mistakes.
Who was the person you told me about that they purposely said something that was incorrect in an educational video just to get engagement?
Oh, there's a lot of people who have done that.
Yeah.
Well, just outside on YouTube.
Yeah.
There's a story about Einstein about kind of like that, where he was running through all the nines and what the sum is when you multiply them all the way down to 10, right? And then on the 10th one, he put the answer as 91.
Mm-hmm.
And the whole class just went up in arms and da-da-da-da-da. And his point was, folks are going to notice your one mistake, not the 9 things you got right.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah. That's the joke in Full Scale too. You can have a just exquisitely perfect flight from pushback to all the way into the gate, and your landing is crap, and so the rest is out the window. You know what I mean? It's the same idea.
It's the same way on RC flights too.
Yep, exactly.
If I don't get a good one, it can't. It's not done yet.
Yeah,
and that's how LVC happens and stuff like that.
Yeah, that's true. One more. Yeah.
One more. I actually said that in that video from today, and you never say one more. You're not supposed to
we
say
joke
one
about
more.
that too. Yeah, and so I was like, I'm gonna do a couple more. When
we're not supposed to. We're not supposed to say that. I almost called myself out for it, but I was like, you know what? Well, I bet no one will notice.
Yeah.
Because if it is one more, you asked for it.
Yeah.
I remember one time I don't remember the exact plane I was flying, but I was with Zach, and my battery was reaching the end. I had a bad landing, so I said, "I'll do one more." Zach gave me the story of why you never say that. I was like, "Oh, that's superstition," and that plane didn't come up. Put it that way.
That was great.
And ever since, I've stuck to it.
Yeah.
I like it. Mike Bird, let's see, didn't take. Do you guys spend any time on Real Flight?
Yeah, we haven't done a ton of it lately, but Real Flight and Aerofly. Dave Herbert introduced me to Aerofly, and we've been actually pretty impressed with the physics model on it. And then
cool.
obviously also Real Flight. It just has so much. It's been around for so long. I mean, my first sim was Real Flight 4 with the Interlink Elite. You know, I have the whole. I actually still have that controller, and it still works. But yeah, no, we mess with both of them, and Real Flight for sure. For me, like I think that first year I had bought the plane, I got it. I think I got it as a Christmas gift or something, and I owe a lot of just the muscle memory for learning some of the 3D stuff. I mean, I'm not a crazy 3D pilot at all, but just stuff like hovering, even it saves so much money in regards to the crashes you would have otherwise, you know. So
yeah, it does serve a purpose. I mean, Allie, I'm not sure if it's Allie, but I think Zavi for sure has mentioned how much time he spends on it.
Oh yeah. I still haven't got Evolution yet. I think I'm on 8 or 9 right now, but
it's good. We have a good time. We've set up at some of these shows we've been to where a lot of guys come from the community, and then we had a buddy who set up Real Flight. So after hours, the dude was blasting James Brown.
Okay.
And we had a simulator going, taking turns, having challenges, doing contests. It was at the end of the day. We probably had some wobbly pops. You know, I mean, it was a total blast. And the pucker factor, there is none.
No.
I love it. I love the reset button. Guys, I really appreciate you coming on. I've been hey,
look at that.
Good time, man.
That's awesome. Son of a bitch for 40 minutes, it feels like.
Yeah.
Whew.
It's a miracle.
Yeah. It is. I'll take it. And we didn't even hiccup at all.
No. Yeah, that was awesome.
We did not hiccup at
Thank
all.
you for having us too, man. This was fun.
Yeah, we appreciate it.
Yeah, I think we'll do it again sometime. I was telling you, Zach, that golly, man, I like the way you put stuff out. I want you to do a video for me or something.
Oh yeah,
that'd be fun. Hey, if you're ever out in our area, we'd love to fly with you.
Yeah,
man, I want to come out there, and I want to give Ben the content and a stack of cash, and be like, dude, let me see what we get, because I'm sure it'll be sick.
Who is it that was doing that too? XJet was doing something like that.
Right? You guys going to go to any shows? You guys should come out to Alabama or something, man.
Yeah,
there's a handful of shows we go to all the time.
Yeah, we're trying to kind of set up logistics for Joe Null right now. So that's a maybe. Flight Fest probably not this year. We've done it in the past.
Have you done Joe Null?
RC. Yeah, I have. Ben has not. Yeah.
It's a huge. I haven't been. I was on the way there. The first year they canceled because of rain. We were in the van on the way. So I was supposed to go, but I haven't been.
I got there that year. Like I had to fly in from Seattle, rental car, everything. I pulled in, and then the announcement was made. That was like, oh my gosh, it sucked. But hey, they avoided total disaster by at least trying to do something. But.
Yeah. So that's a big show. That's a big show. I am a little bit. It's so big, I'm almost paranoid of that show. I like the lower key stuff we do.
It's actually not as bad as you would think in regards to the intimidation factor. There's, it's set up as a standard AMA event where you have four different flight lines, and you got a spotter, and it's actually way less intimidating than you would think. At least on the electric flight line.
There's so many guys that watch you. There's so many buddies that make. A ton of the guys in the room are YouTube channels themselves. There's a lot of guys that make content. We invite everybody to the RC Pilots Lounge Facebook group. You want to see the guys, pop in, man. Always, anytime you guys make an upload, if you want, come over to the Facebook group and let us see your Saturday upload. These guys will be glad to see it, and you can see what all these cats are doing too.
Yeah, absolutely.
And a lot of these guys, you'd see them at Joe Null. A lot of these guys go every year that are here in the room right now.
Yeah.
Yeah, if we end up going, we're really looking forward to putting faces to the names that we've seen online in our community.
It's the best. Yeah. And if you guys are new, have you had any of that yet?
It was actually the day after I believe I moved here. We were in the hobby shop, and someone just out of nowhere goes, "Ben."
That was awesome.
Ben? And I was like, is he talking to me?
Yeah.
But yeah.
You made it,
Yeah, it's been.
bro.
Oh gosh, yeah.
You made
Mostly
it.
we're just looking forward to
Bucket list.
looking forward to meeting like-minded people.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Bucket list check. I mean, it's not why you do it, but it's kind of crazy when that stuff happens.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The Z-list celebrity. Yeah. Yeah.
Bro,
Yeah.
the craziest, I think, time for me having been recognized, 2 of them I can think of. One, I was waiting on a ride. I just landed in Orlando Sanford Airport. Wesley Miller, Mary Boozer, who's now at Motion RC, was coming to pick me up. I was on the sidewalk waiting. Some dude drove by, recognized me on the sidewalk, hollered out the window.
Oh gosh.
Pulled around, picked up his wife or something, got to talk to him real quick and shake hands and stuff like that. That was nuts.
Yeah.
And then we were at the other time, we were at Warbirds over we were there for the RC show Warbirds over Grapevine, but it was like air superiority in Texas, full scale B-29. We got on board. We were at an air show. We had some pretty cool VIP access from the guys there in Texas that loved us. Yeah. And we were only in Texas because they invited us out to do a fundraiser for Snowball Express, the Gary Sinise thing that basically takes kids and wives and significant others of families who have lost one due to war, military losses, and takes them to this thing. Anyway, so we were there and we were walking around this air show, and some guy comes up to me and says, "Hey, are you Pilot Ryan or whatever?" And I was like, "Yeah." And he was flying the steerman in the air show.
Oh, nice.
He was like, yeah, he was one of the pilots from the show. And here's a couple RC jerk offs walking around, and it's the voice.
Yeah,
it's the voice. I think it's hard to miss. It's kind of loud.
Yeah.
Anyhow, guys, so good having you. I'm going to let you go here in a second. Any last minute questions for our guys, Zach and Ben? Thanks so much for coming. If you haven't checked out Tail Heavy Productions, follow them on Instagram. Check them out on YouTube. They're putting out stuff every Saturday, and it's super refreshing. So you got to check it out. Any last minute questions in the chat? Let's have it. And a lot of guys do a Zoom show after the Saturday gig here, so there is a Zoom link floating around in the chat if you're brave enough to show up to the after hours uncensored business that happens Saturday nights.
Yeah,
come to Maryland, Seth. Yeah, I want to do some more of that stuff. We currently beat down the trail to Alabama all the time. Birmingham RC Club, our buddy Scott Settle, they have a really active, really awesome club, great bunch of people. We like the runway. We filmed a bunch of videos there, and we've brought Scott to some other shows with us, and in particular the RC Fest in Illinois. If you're interested in anything RC, not only flying, that show is an eye opener. So after being at that gig with our buddies, Scott goes back. He's the president of the club at Birmingham, and man, they started setting up that whole field. They got rock crawling, basher stuff.
Nice.
Usually once a year there's a real big fire down there. I'm kidding. We had a crazy fire last time I was there. Like, I burned up my brand new shoes and my pants. A turbine went down, and it was so dry and it was windy. There was a couple fire trucks had to come and reload to put it out. But anyway, not to scare you off, you should come to Alabama sometime.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
There's a couple shows that happen there. It's free. Follow Birmingham RC Club on Facebook. They got one Bam Jam coming up pretty soon, but the Bigfoot show, That's the one. If you're
Yeah,
gonna go, if you want ROI, that's the one.
Yeah, I had seen your stuff from there when you were there last, and Nate as well, and I was like, this actually looks like a cool event. Yeah, so that's definitely one that we'll have. Yeah.
And there's enough lights. Folks fly like all night.
Yeah,
if they want to. Pretty cool. Lyndon Stewart has a question. This is fun. So Lyndon's got a question. Zach and Ben, do you guys have any videos on YouTube?
They're on there somewhere.
We have a few, yeah.
That's a wonderful question. And that's exactly, yes, they do. And that is exactly why we have them on the show tonight, because their channel is really fun, Lyndon, and you should check it out. I think you'll like it. You'll get a laugh, and you might even learn something. I always do.
Well, thank you for all the kind words tonight, Ryan, and just in general. You know, we've tuned into a couple of your previous streams, and it's been cool to hear.
Yeah, definitely appreciate the support.
Bro, inspiring, man. Good job. Like, I ought to know this. I've been around a minute. Y'all are doing a heller good job. Like I said, the only thing that'll hurt you is if you stop.
Yeah,
because
that's true.
People are obviously responding. No matter what anybody says, the numbers, as much as we don't want to pay attention to them, they talk. Yeah. There's some serious social proof in that. And good job. Congratulations. I look forward to more from you guys. And it looks like you're young enough. We get a lot more out of you.
Yeah, hopefully.
Well,
yeah.
Thank you,
they're about to put me out to pasture, but I'm going to try hard not to let them.
All right.
Guys, I'm going to let them go. Zach and Ben, see you later.
We'll see you, man.
We'll talk again. We'll talk again soon, and we get on the phone. I love it that you text me all the time, little clips from what you got going on.
Yeah.
Do you post up early clips to Instagram of the uploads that you're working on, or do you wait till after?
Not usually. Yeah.
We do snippets. Like, we're filming the review. I think I put up a video of the yak before the review was actually out, but
yeah.
Nice.
But not of like the final product, like 6 seconds of or whatever from that. No,
oh, right. Just like a highlight reel, which is what that short form stuff is great for.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
So follow these guys on Instagram. If you're on Instagram already, don't miss out. Tail Heavy Productions. See them on YouTube as well. A lot more to come from these guys. I'm going to say goodbye right now, and I'll talk to you guys later. Have a good one.
See you guys
again. Have a good night.
I have to go to the bathroom so bad. Guys, that was a lot of fun. I know I missed a lot in the chat. Somebody can please put a link to the Tail Productions channel in the live chat if you'd like. You can also find a link to them in the description box to this video. If you're watching it on the replay, I understand not wanting to dig through the live chat to see it. So, fun time. Good show. Been looking forward to that, and we worked it out. I had fun kind of binge watching their stuff today and getting even more of an understanding about, what they're doing. I really basically hit all the notes I had too. The only thing I didn't ask him is if they liked RV7. I love it. That was a good time. That's why I really originally started doing this stream in the first place, was to always be able to be consistent, because I still sometimes it's spotty with camera people for me. So it's one way I can always connect, and I like that. We need it. Carlos Campos, Born to Fly, muchas gracias. Thank you. You're welcome. Or Donata, if that was Italian. We're getting close. It's at least Latin derived. Yeah, Yak 130s, their upload from today. Super fun. My upload from today is the other end of the spectrum. It's the, man, I cannot do this to save my life. That is so weird. Anyway, I never get my fingers right. That plane right there. Dad, I told you you'd love that stick. It's going to be great. It is going to be good. It is going to be good. So Yeah, how long did we go? 2 hours? Not bad, not bad. Eddie K, thank you so much. All you guys that come into the shop, RC Fun Park, Palm Desert, California, RC Fun Park, Granger, Indiana. These are hobby towns. Check us out. And if you can't get into the shop, check out the links in the description or just bookmark pilotryanmedia.com and know that you can click into your favorite RC brands and help support the RC life. Appreciate it. One of you guys send me the Zoom link, like messenger style or something. I'm gonna go. That's a good one. I'll cut up the beginning just a little bit where probably to where it makes sense, and then I'll have this live stream live publicly. So some of this minutia here at the end, I will probably cut. Those guys do have it together, Tim. Young cats who know what they're up to and are doing a really good job. And I think offering a fun taste on flavor on the world of RC. So many do reviews, and I just feel like that. It's so nice just having folks talk to you who aren't worried about all that. The California shop is a sponsor of the Coachella Valley RC flying field, but it's not on site. It's not on site. Yeah, Lyndon Stewart, the Ultra Stick is from E-flite. There's a link to it in the description, and I did a video on it today that I think is fun. Before the lights turn back off, Brian Chambers. Yeah. All right. Appreciate it. We'll get Bobby on here. Who should be the next guest? Should we get Brian Phillips on here? Let me know, guys. Appreciate it. And I know I've talked so much trash about hat cams, but right now that's what we're using, and I'm able to keep it close enough that I can actually kind of get something decent. So thanks for watching the last videos. I think the last two are decent. That first one I did on the yellow one, it's cool, but it's not as good as the one with the head cam for sure. But it is what it is right now. Yeah, I'm glad the lights came back on. I'll see some of you guys in the Zoom. All right. Tail Heavy Productions, thanks so much. Check them out, guys. Dude, they're almost at 16K. Those cats are going to pass us up soon. I ain't worried about it, and I ain't mad. They're doing a really good job. I'm close to 20, though, guys, which is kind of neat, too. They're so funny, though, man. The things they say when, like, if this video pissed you off, make sure you subscribe. I mean, like, I just love it, man. Love it. So let's see. How close am I? All I know is that video from today is pushing 1,600 views, which is pretty good. And got me 13 new people, subscribers, which is pretty good. But the channel as a whole, let's see. 19,969. We are like 21 away. Who's counting? The minute you get there, then you fall back anyway. There's these weird benchmarks where they're gonna call out all the dead folks on your channel. Anyway, appreciate it, guys. If you're watching on the replay, you're crazy and appreciate you. Links are in the description. Subscribe. All the links to my socials, TikTok and Instagram, they're also in the description box. Scroll through those every now and then. Those reels and those TikToks, it's kind of a trip. It's fun. And it also, for me, exists as like a yearbook, like posterity's sake. It's like I can see winter and spring and summer and what was happening by the products we were playing with and the locations we were at. Always good to see you guys at those places too. Brian Phillips will be fun. He said he'll do it. We just got to nail down a time. I actually talked to him the other day again. All right, we're going to roll in 5. Hanger Rats forever. 3. Nope. 3 later. You're too good to be forgotten. Like, that was legit. We'll see you next time. Stick of monkey pants. Immortal words of Captain Mike. Bye now. Boom.